Hello and welcome to World News on TVP World. I'm Marie Cato. Poland, Sweden and the UK have launched their air policing mission from the Polish city of Malbork. British and Swedish fighter jets have been deployed to Poland to patrol NATO's eastern flank. This comes a day after Poland signed a $2 billion contract with the US for logistical support for Patriot missile defense systems. Malbork in northern Poland is home to the 22nd Air Base of the Polish Armed Forces. Now it hosts British Typhoon fighters and Swedish Gripen jets. Today, the latest tour of duty in the enhanced air policing mission in Malbork has been officially inaugurated by the Ministers of Defence of Poland and Sweden, as well as representatives from the UK. The mission marks the first deployment of the Swedish Air Force's combat aircraft since Stockholm joined NATO last year. The alliance's enhanced air policing mission was introduced in 2014 after Russia's illegal annexation of Crimea, aiming to serve as a deterrent.
NATO is a defensive alliance protecting our lands, our people, our values and our civilization. Within the alliance, we see each other as friends. All NATO member states are our allies. I would like to, in the presence of our friends from the United Kingdom and Sweden, confirm all of Poland's commitments to our NATO allies. All commitments arising from the Washington Treaty, with particular emphasis on Article 5. We will fulfill all alliance obligations toward our friends and expect the same in return, because NATO is solidarity.
This mission is a strong demonstration of cohesion and solidarity among allies and a powerful deterrent against Russian aggression. We are proud that it is our first air policing mission and it's based here in Poland. And we're also proud to be doing it together with the United Kingdom. Our three countries, Sweden, Poland and United Kingdom, shall have a unity of mission and a unity of purpose.
Today we stand together on Polish soil as friends and allies from three corners of the European continent with one clear message. Europe is stepping up for European security and we stand united as proof.
Polish President Andrzej Duda is visiting Slovakia on Tuesday. During his meeting with Slovakian President Peter Pellegrini, Duda said that both countries have a joint outlook on peace in the region. However, to ensure lasting peace, Europe needs to rearm itself.
Today, unfortunately, ensuring peace means increasing defense spending, strengthening the defense of our countries, strengthening our military resilience. We talked about this with the President, also in the light of the upcoming NATO summit in The Hague. I actually submitted a proposal to Secretary-General Mark Rutte, asking that NATO member states agree to increase defense spending to a minimum of 3% of their country's GDP. And we will probably talk about this at the next summit. Maybe some decisions will be made as well. We know that there are various proposals when it comes to defense spending. We will see what the final decision will be. I believe that 3% is a realistic proposal and it could be achieved relatively quickly.
The Polish Internal Security Agency has detained a 47-year-old Ukrainian. The man is suspected of working for Russian intelligence. The arrested man was reportedly conducting reconnaissance of military installations in Poland. Since the outbreak of the war in Ukraine, Polish Internal Security Agency officers have detained 44 people on suspicion of espionage or sabotage on behalf of Russia and Belarus. Among the detainees are Russians, Belarusians, Ukrainians and Poles. Ukraine is working with the United States to finalize a mutually acceptable minerals deal, said Ukrainian Foreign Minister Andriy Sybiha during a press conference in Kyiv. This comes as Russia continues to attack energy facilities, including a recent strike in Kherson, leaving thousands without power despite a ceasefire agreement on energy strikes.
We believe that the text of the agreement, which will provide for the further strengthening of the presence of powerful large American business, is also a contribution to the security infrastructure of Ukraine. It is always important to strengthen the presence of American business in Ukraine. Therefore, this process will continue and we will work with our American colleagues to reach a mutually acceptable text for signing.
Vladimir Putin has ordered the mobilization of 160,000 new conscripts. According to reports from Ukraine authorities, Russia is preparing for an offensive on 3 fronts. Ukrainian intelligence warns that as Russia ramps up its conscription, its already mobilized forces are based near the Sumy region. The latest conscription wave brings in Russians aged between 18 to 30 who are not part of the country's reserves. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has also said that Russia is preparing several new offensives in the Sumy region, as well as the Kharkiv and Zaporizhia regions. Finnish President Alexander Stubb took to social media to announce that Finland is set to bolster its defense spending to 3% of GDP by 2029. Following in Poland's footsteps, the country is also planning to withdraw from the Ottawa Convention, an international agreement banning anti-personnel landmines.
The Finnish government has today taken 2 key decisions reflecting the changes in our security environment. First, Finland will raise its defense expenditure to 3% of GDP by 2029. This is a part of Finland's contribution to Europe taking greater responsibility for our own defense. Second, Finland will prepare for the withdrawal from the Ottawa Convention. The decision is based on a thorough assessment by the relevant ministries and the defense forces. Finland is committed to its international obligations on the responsible use of mines. Finland will always remain a responsible actor in the world, safeguarding its security and defense.
European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen is confident that the EU will be able to negotiate on trade with Washington from a position of strength. The comments come one day before US President Donald Trump is expected to unveil his highly contested tariff strategy with international partners. Our EU correspondent Angela Skujins has the story from Brussels.
European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen told MEPs at the plenary in Strasbourg that she has a plan for when US President Donald Trump outlines his trade policies with the EU. Now, according to that EU executive, the continent has developed a 3-pronged strategy. The thrust of this is to ensure that dialogues remain open with Washington, diversifying trade partnerships, as well as strengthening the EU market and the single market. So we know that Donald Trump, that US president, on the 2nd of April, aka Liberation Day, will outline a suite of new trade policies. He claims that he needs to redistribute and rebalance the scales. But according to Ursula von der Leyen, the continent has a plan. Let's take a listen to what she had to say from Parliament on Monday.
But my message to you today is that we have everything we need to protect our people and our prosperity. We have the largest single market in the world. We have the strength to negotiate. We have the power to push back. And the people of Europe should know that together we will always promote and defend our interests and our values, and together we will always stand up for our Europe.
Now, the 47th President of the United States has already slapped 25% tariffs on all metal, steel, aluminium and car imports into the US. We are expecting a response from the EU in terms of reciprocal tariffs as well as countermeasures. We're expecting that to be laid bare at least at the end of the week. But we've already seen the EU stretch its fingers and trying to develop its own trade partnerships outside of its transatlantic ally. We had Maros Šefčovič, the EU Commissioner for Trade, recently visit Beijing. We also had the EU signing its long-awaited deal with Mercosur to strengthen relationships with countries such as Brazil and Argentina. But we'll have to wait and see what is in the details of Liberation Day in terms of those trade partnerships with the EU. Angela Skujins from Brussels for TVP World.
Parliamentary immunity granted to members of the European Parliament has been revoked for 2 Polish MEPs, Mariusz Kamiński and Maciej Wąsik. The waiving of Kamiński and Wąsik's parliamentary immunity was recommended to Roberta Metsola, the president of the European Parliament, by Polish Justice Minister Adam Bodnar last summer. On March 18th this year, the European Parliament's Committee on Legal Affairs filed for a revision, which was subsequently accepted by the European Parliament this Tuesday. This comes after Kamiński and Wąsik were found guilty by a Polish court on multiple counts, including the abuse of power, and sentenced to 2 years behind bars, but were later pardoned by President Andrzej Duda. The Polish prosecutor's office accused Wąsik and Kamiński of failing to comply with a final court ruling, banning them from holding public office, as the two MPs continued active participation in votes at the Polish parliament. Polish presidential candidates are working hard to drum up support ahead of the upcoming May election. Among the crucial issues of the campaign is Poland's security. Today, the frontrunner of the elections, Rafał Trzaskowski, held a press conference in Warsaw with over 100 journalists in attendance, including our reporter Ovidiusz Nicieja.
Security and foreign affairs, especially in relation to the EU and NATO, have taken the central stage in the presidential election campaign in Poland. The candidates are often asked by their voters and by journalists about the war in Ukraine, about the approach of the United States. And I have attended a press conference of the frontrunner of these elections, Mayor of Warsaw, Rafał Trzaskowski, and I have asked him, why does he make security and foreign relations such a core part of his campaign?
This is a core issue. This is one of the most important and fundamental challenges that everyone in Europe faces. So no wonder that in a presidential campaign we treat it as a priority. And in my view, both the relations with the United States and with the European Union are fundamentally important. And of course also all the initiatives that are aimed at strengthening of the North Atlantic organization and pact. That's why we focus on this, because providing security for our citizens is the top priority of my campaign and of my eventual presidency if I were to be elected. This is a topic that I receive most of the questions about from the citizens, because this is an issue which is the most hotly debated now in Poland and in Europe. So no wonder that we spend so much time talking about security.
The first round of presidential elections in Poland is scheduled for May 18th. According to the polls, Rafał Trzaskowski is the frontrunner, and he is likely to face a conservative opponent in the second round of these elections. Now, which one of the candidates it will be, that's a better question, because according to the polls, there is a big race on the right between the Law and Justice supported candidate Karol Nawrocki and far-right candidate Sławomir Mencen, who are trying to rally support and get past the first round into the second round of the elections in Poland.
Milorad Dodik, the leader of Republika Srpska, one of Bosnia and Herzegovina's constituent entities, is in Moscow, where he is reportedly set to meet with Vladimir Putin. The visit comes after a Bosnian court issued an arrest warrant for the Bosnian Serb leader.
Milorad Dodik ignored a court summons, which followed the verdict handed to him in February this year. Dodik was sentenced for violating the terms of the Dayton Agreement that ended the war in Bosnia and has been ensuring the stability of the country since 1995. On Monday, he appeared in Moscow in front of the tomb of the unknown soldier, where he praised Russian-Serbian relations and Vladimir Putin.
Russia enjoys our support. It is a country that has undoubtedly faced many challenges over the past few centuries and has shown that it is capable of defending its independence, its sovereignty, and that is why President Putin is the world historical leader of the Russian people.
Milorad Dodik was handed 1 year in prison and a 6-year ban on holding the office by the Bosnian court, a sentence for defying the rulings of the High Representative, a peace envoy that oversees the fulfillment of the Dayton Agreement. This non-compliance was reportedly motivated by his push for a more independent Serb republic.
And that concludes World News at 2 p.m. Thank you for joining us, and stay tuned for more on TVP World. Goodbye.